video, da nema ni reći o tom. Novi tempo. Prolazi Jakovljev. 5-5. Druga godina. Već nekoliko sezona još budu nema priliku da nađe drugog tehničara. Sada je tu Roman Arčipov koji ima 21 godinu, ali sad uglavnom da gleda i da trenira. Najmlađi tehničar iz Euroslavije. Za Pavela Abramova. Prvi tehnički time-out. Vršići Kačkova. Još jedna greška Pavela Abramova. Pavel Abramov na terenu jer igra ona. Do sadašnjim mečevima na evropskom šampionatu najveći igračima, najmanji za gol koristi su Anata sredno 2.17, Ruske 2.25 i na prste i ide preko mreže 2.40. Pavel Abramov, veoma dobro prvo, 9-7. Mišković, 100% realizacija. Kada se dobro. 10-7 od izostali u prvom setu drugog polufinale. U prvom Italijani bez nekih problema sa Nadali. Czech. One su se vodile u trećem setu, ili je Kariplija, ali Češka izgleda na, ali slično počela Czech. Na zakon. Odlično. Goran Mujević. Češća je ovo bila lopta, naravno se nastavlja scena, Grbića, jak, napad iz servisa. Jedva je došao u loptu, ali majstori su majstori. 12 Mujević. Napad na Abramova. Jepić. Lockdown broj, pomoćnično na izrazu Jepova. Roman Jakovljev. Još jednom majstorija Nikole Grbića. Češka ovo lopta, pogledajte. Geri. Opet se vidjelo, ništa. Mislim, ne treba se tražiti Gerića. Sad novci se sam na preokreti. Idem. Manete. Kumovi Kansas donosi kao najbolji švajcarski start. Nikola Grbić bila nešto. Jaja napad iz servisa. Ivan Bitković 14. Vrlo pristojno predstavlja. Polufinala sa 14. Još jedan jaja napad iz servisa. Kabući. Važna na blizu gledali jedan drugo. Lopta je parabala ušla. 14-11. Ruslan Oliver. Još jednom za Miljkovića i to nervi noći ne može da dostaći. Novi poen ima na Miljković. 15-11. Rusi su 12 puta bili evropski prvaki. 6 godina, 91. godina, puta treći, jednog puta drugi. Lopta mora preko. Kada se organizuje dobra kontra. I realizovana 16-11. 5 bodna prednost za Olimpijsku. Mogu da dostane sreće da recimo najbolji igrač sveta 2000. Sekunde.
in, but it's produced the goods, and an overpass gives Ruslan Olikva the chance to kill for Russia.
If you don't give Olikva a free net, as you do here, Vujovic, of course, cannot put a block up there because he's a backline player and was expecting the ball to be on his head, not onto the hands of Olikva.
Shulapov putting a bit more heat on that serve and going straight into the middle of the net. So the good work that he's done in the earlier point completely cancelled out there by that mistake. Milkovic then emerging as one of the stars of this tournament. Wonderful serve from him. He's certainly firing on all cylinders tonight. Gerasimov with another poor left-handed hit. Kept alive. Mitkov though, the libero can't chase that down, and that takes the Yugoslavs to set point in the opening set of this European Championship, second semi-final. Remember the other semi-final between the Czech Republic and Italy? We have highlights of that coming up after this game. Milkovic just missing his serve.
Well, they'll know that they have at least 4 opportunities to take this set, so they have to settle, give quality reception to Nikrivic at the net, and they're in a very strong rotation as well, even though he is front line with Sulemester on the middle, and the outside hitting position is being occupied at the moment by Boscan, so yeah, they look good for the set at this stage.
Well, on comes again, one of those players from the Olympic final. He's on court for his service. The Russians still down there, still set point in Yugoslavia. A high ball to Milkovic from behind, and they've set it tough to Russian blockers' hands, and that's the first set going to Yugoslavia. And Nick, you have to say that was almost exactly the same as the Olympic final in terms of score and start. And incredible.
Functioning fantastically. 2 in Argentina. So this game, a reflection of what we can expect over the coming season. Abramov this time, they decide to go to a combination play there, Nick. We haven't seen a lot of that from the Russians.
No, it's they normally effectively rely on the height, but once you've got a well set block, then you have to start messing around effectively with the temporal organisation of the block, i.e. when are they in their blocking positions. And one way that you can do that effectively is to produce a number of attackers in the air at one time, which causes hesitation and or a shattered block where one bit is going up while the other one is coming down, and that's what we saw there from the Russians. But it does basically rely on quality ball into the setter to run that sort of offence.
Vujovic again then with the serve. And a wonderful ace from him, and that takes Yugoslavia to a commanding lead in set 2, 13 points to 8.
Yeah, Abramov again is the target of the attentions of the Yugoslavian server. I just got a feeling that Sergei Tachukin, who was a starter in the Sydney 2000 final, would be the better option at the moment on court for Russia.
Another great pass from Vujovic, but the referee with that signal saying that the Yugoslavian block reached over the net.
Yeah, good work from Mitkov to make that, but it was clearly Milkovic who was blocking in the middle in that rotation, who got his hands on the ball before it entered his court space.
Kazakov then, number 7, the big guy for Russia, putting the ball in. And another wonderful side out. There is no stopping the Yugoslavians at the moment, and the Russians, quite frankly, Nick, look shell-shocked.
Yeah, there's a certain uncertainty to the game, and you feel there's no energy on court. You feel that there's a lack of confidence, and that lack of confidence is probably bred out by the mauling they were given in Sydney not that long ago. And they've really got to concentrate on their game now. They've got to organise their block more effectively, and crucially, they've got to cut the hitting errors out, because that's what killed them in Sydney.
Well, talking about hitting errors, that's got to be the first hitting error we've seen from the big guy for Yugoslavia, Milkovic. Just cutting the ball out on the line, and a good clear signal from the linesperson saying that ball was wide. So that's forced some more substitutions. Quite surprisingly, off comes Ruslan Olikva, one of the middle blockers for Russia.
There's Kozarov on number 14. He's a 2 middle blocker, so they don't lose much in height there, but in experience, then maybe that's a different issue.
Change then, sometimes as good as a rest for the Russians. Will it work for them? Can they get themselves back into this set? At the moment, 15 points to 10 down. Another good kill from them, this time from the back row.
Yeah, Yakovlev again taking the back row 10 hit. You can see there's a big seam in the Yugoslavia block as Dulemesta fails to close on the outside player, and that was good enough for the back row offence.
The Russian captain Shulapov with the serve. Good jump serve from him. That puts the Yugoslavians under pressure, and the Russians have contained this ball in court, but it's Abramov, number 4, who makes the hit. Slide over pass from Midjic. Oh, what a clever play from Nick Gribic.
Oh, Nick Gribic did fantastically well there. Really, in those situations, you would normally ask for the pit helmet because you expect to have it drilled down on top of your head. Ball gets put up by by Midjic, the libero, but it was overhit. But he contested it at the net with the middle blocker from Russia and punched well above his weight there.
Well, Gribic really conning Chilakov at the net for Russia. Again. Well, I can tell you that the next European volleyball on British shores will be on the 27th to the 30th of December at the Kelvin Hall in Glasgow, where there will be a European competition involving Scotland, England, Cyprus and Estonia. And I tell you what, the Scots love their volleyball up there in Glasgow. They will be packing the Kelvin Hall, especially for the old firm match of the England-Scotland game. Anyway, keep those emails coming in. It's great to hear from everybody out there, and of course you can get involved with the discussion about these European Championships on Eurosports Forum and talk to other people around Europe about volleyball. In the meantime though, it's back to this semi-final, the second semi-final, the other semi-final coming up in highlights after this first live coverage, and that is between the host nation, the Czech Republic, versus the Italians. Here though, Yugoslavia have a clear advantage, 17-12, and took the first set. And that means they are in a commanding position in this match. Nick, it's really difficult to see what the Russians can do to get back.
Well, they're going to have to cut out the hitting errors, and what we've seen there, that was their nightmare rotation when Kamuchki was in 2 and Abramov was out in 4. Previously, he'd been given a good roughing up by the Yugoslav block, but they kicked it round at first ball attempt, which is very, very heartening for them. Now they need to concentrate on working in their stronger rotations with a setter in the back line where they've got a bigger block.
So possibly a chance then for Russia to try and put some points on the board to get themselves back in. And with blocking like that, they've got a big chance. But a call on the net and another mistake from the Russians. It's Nick Gribic then, the top setter so far in terms of the statistics at this tournament. One of the best performers in the world, without doubt. A real solid performer for the Yugoslavians. Gribic then jump serve into the corner once again, pinpointing Abramov number 4, but Yakovlev does the job.
You'd expect Yakovlev, who's the player opposite the setter, hitting from the left front row, to carry a little bit more power. Good delay on the blocks, it exposes him one-on-one against Vujovic, and that was good enough for the point.
Abramov then, just 22 years old, only 34 caps, so clearly being given some experience here at these European Championships. Middle connection again, not as convincing for Yugoslavia, but Jeric puts it on the floor.
Yeah, this is in fact, the next 2 rotations, when we see Kamuchki go across 6 and then into 5, the Russian block is probably at its most awesomely potent, and this is where they will be expecting to pick up points. You see a substitute on the substitution now, Kamuchki off, and young Roman Arkhipov has been brought on for the Russians.
Arkhipov, just 20 years old, but as we said already, the Italian clubs in Serie A, the professional volleyball league, will be looking to sign him up. Good rescue this time from Kazakov with the ball into the net, but a 3-man block lined up by Yugoslavia. They're getting a 3-man block to every position they can on the net, Nick.
Yes, they've decided that they can, wherever they do have the opportunity, on the wings, and this is crucially, when there's no first tempo offense, they will take all players across. Normally the off block of the player not involved in the block will either cover close or will take a diagonal option, but no, they're putting them all up, and that's their intention.
Well, as with any of the great sports, the technical play and the tactics that develop within the rules of the game are the most interesting part of what is going on. And there, the clipboard out on the floor, all sorts of information going across, Nick.
Yeah, they've got rotation by rotation analysis, as you would expect. Effectively, they look at the game as 6 mini-games within each game, depending on where the players are aligned, and they know where the options are in terms of the hitting space on the court. So that has to be communicated to the setter in terms of the hitting options. He will then know where the options are, and that's a good connection. This guy really is a very talented young player who's got extremely good hands. He's difficult to read, and he finds Kazakov excellently.
Beautiful start from Arkhipov, and absolutely typical. Brave young setter, not bothered by the conditions here in this tense European Championship semi-final, and firing the ball at Kazakov for that point, but an immediate response from Yugoslavia. It's Jeric, the middle blocker, with the serve. Another tough pass this time for Arkhipov to deal with. He just puts it up to his captain, Chulapov. It's Yugoslavia, another chance to score. And Vujovic out of the back line knocks Abramov over.
There's an extremely impressive attack. A lot of weight out of the back line. Vujovic, you can see the timing problems the Russian block is having. In fact, it was a free net. Kazakov committed on the A tempo. Really no defence at all behind it. And looking through them there at that offence, from the Russian defensive point of view, they will not like what they see.
Well, the Russians look pretty fed up on the best of days, but today they are looking miserable, and none more so than Gennady Chipolin, the Russian coach. He makes another substitution, but it's still Yugoslavia with a clear advantage in set 2. Already 1 set to love up in this semi-final. And this time it's Yakovlev who gets the treatment from the Yugoslav blockers.
Yeah, they are dominant at the moment. The Russian setter is doing what he can to get the ball up, but at the moment it simply is no option for them. At the moment they've been done on the back set, they've been done on the A ball. Now where the... Well, what a jump serve as well.
Well, now they've been done on the jump serve. There's nothing they can do to stop this runaway Yugoslavian squad. Remember, best of 5 sets in this semi-final, and if Yugoslavia keep playing like this, then it's going to mean a 2 sets to love lead, and that's going to make it very, very difficult for Yugoslavia to come back.
Yeah, Jeric's serving strategy there, as you saw in the slow motion, was to put the ball down the line. The penetrating setter coming in from 5, having to sort of virtually turn 180 degrees to get a line of sight, so it does really make his distribution pattern in that rotation quite tricky. Good serving.
Well, a massive cushion there, 24 points to 16, a complete thrashing so far from Yugoslavia. They just have to take 1 of these points to come away with this set. The Russians, though, hung in there. They scrapped in that rally, and a fine finish from the blockers, but good defensive play again, and the Russians having to work so hard to get anything from this.
Yeah, Alexei Kulikov, who's the substitute middle blocker for Russia, finishing her point well.
And here's the chance for the Yugoslavians to kill from Milkovic, and the Russian defensive players, all they can do is shy away from the ball. That guy there, the tallest guy on court for Yugoslavia, blowing the ball onto court, and that takes the second set 25-17. We'll be back to see if Russia can do anything with set 3 in this semi-final from the Czech Republic. Russia just being torn to pieces at the moment by some wonderful Yugoslavian play. Oh, I've not seen a serve like that for some years. That one has gone right up the back wall, and they'll be counting the number of bricks up that hit, and it was the young setter, number 17, Arkhipov for Russia.
Yeah, if you're going to be given a blooding, then in the semi-final of the European Championships, it's a tough one to start, but all the best players in the world have to cope with this pressure, and Arkhipov there was, well, frankly, he choked on the serve.
Well, as if it needed underlining, Nick Gribic, the setter for Yugoslavia, the number 1 setter at the tournament, comes back with a jump serve that sets up this Yugoslavian point chance, and Milkovic is not stopping. It's almost like there's not a break in the game. He just keeps firing.
Yeah, he's such a difficult player to contain. He's well balanced in the air, he's very strong, his arm is very deceptive to read from the block's point of view, and even if you do get a contact, you've got to contain it. He hits it with such force. He is an outstandingly impressive player all round this volleyball court.
So Yugoslavia, 2 sets to love up, and 2 points to love up in set 3. And Russia still with nothing to answer what the Yugoslavians are doing.
Yeah, it was Arkhipov again. He was given the first ball option for the Russians, and he was contained. The ball went into transition, and when you give the Yugoslav side transition ball, they're going to punish you. And frankly, at the moment, the Russians just don't have enough weight in either the side out first attacking option, which is this attempt, or do they in transition, whereas the Yugoslavs are really proving very, very effective, as we've seen there.
Well, this is ridiculous. Confidence flowing through everybody in the Yugoslavian team, and the ball put up, and Milkovic contorting himself in the air to rip the ball into the far corner. What an incredible hit.
Yes, it's a stunning display so far. What we saw in the Sydney final was a sort of grinding down of the Russians, and then a bullying late on in the set. Here, they're pretty much Russia are self-destructing under the weight of the Yugoslav jump serve and transition play.
Well, the Yugoslavs have come out and played very, very similarly to the Czech Republic. Great serves, and just then from the libero, a great defensive play, and that sets up another scoring chance, and Yugoslavia march on to a 5-0 lead, courtesy of the Nick Gribic serve.
Yeah, the difference between the two teams, when the Russians get a touch on the ball post block, they're not controlling the rebound. When Yugoslavia do, particularly in the hands of Midjic, the libero, they're delivering quality ball to Gribic, and once he's got that ball at the net, he knows he's got a cannon in the back line with Milkovic, and very effective hitters around him. They're just being snowballed at the moment.
Right, Nick, you're the technical expert. It's time for me to put you in the hot seat. I know you'll enjoy this one. If you were the Russian coach, give me an idea of what you'd be telling the players.
Well, Cipollini, you can see by the voice of and the face of displeasure that he had at that timeout. He's saying, well, more than anything, what I want you to do, if you're going to lose this game, at least show for me. At least give them something to work with. And at the moment, his receiving unit isn't functioning. The block, which we would normally assume to be an awesome weapon for Russia, hasn't really had the opportunity. And crucially, we're seeing hitting errors like that, which is not characteristic of the Russians unless they're under pressure. And here they clearly are. And the Yugoslav transition play has been simply wonderful.
Well, surely too much pressure for this young setter Arkhipov to change things for Russia, but he's not helping himself by some inaccurate distribution. And Yakovlev, 2 hitting errors in a row, and Yugoslavia march on to a 7-0 lead. This is an absolute mauling.
Yeah, it is. That's the only way to describe it. They're not even on the same volleyball court as Yugoslavia at the moment, Russia. They're playing like a sort of third division team against very much a premier side, and this is not even effective serving by way of weight from Gribic. It's just very sensible, strategic serving into the gaps that the setter is trying to operate on, so they can move their blocking options around to try to contain the high percentage hitter, and they've taken 5 points in that Gribic serve.
Well, once again, Russia finally getting themselves a chance to serve. 1-7 down in this third set. A long way back in the match, but a long way back from there. 6 points down under the new rally scoring system. That's tough. And Midjic, the libero player in the white shirt for Yugoslavia, showing why he's the best libero in the world. Lays it out on court for the pickup.
Yeah, this was outrageous. Both players attempting a little roll shot. On this occasion, Midjic puts it fantastically up to Gribic, who shoots it wide, and then in response it's almost, well, this is how you should be doing it, guys. I'll roll it post block onto the court and take the point. It's again the transition quality from Yugoslavia. Doesn't matter whether it's being contained from a tip then or from powerfully inflicted spikes that beat the block, is just very impressive to watch.
Well, total number of points scored by Yugoslavia when you add everything up comes to 58, so they're outscoring Russia by 20 points. Russia down on 38 points in this game, and that's a hell of a lot of points to make up. Nick, that is almost one full set of points.
Yeah, it's very depressing from the Russians. What we expected here was a tough side to beat, and they've traditionally been that across the years. Here they folded. They'd come down like a sort of stack of cards against the Yugoslav side, and to be honest, there's not a great deal that they can do at this stage with a 7-point margin. They just have to hope they get a run of serves, and if they're going to have a run of serves, they're going to have to block more effectively.
Well, you can probably hear the disappointment in mine and Nick Smith's voices. We were really looking forward to this game, and we felt possibly with Vladimir Gribic injured and off court for Yugoslavia that the Russians were at least in with a chance of making a fight. But Yugoslavia have other ideas, and they've come out onto court and worked incredibly well against the Russians. They've got in amongst them, and the Russians' team unit has disintegrated. Alexei Kazakov then, 6 points down in this third set with the serve. Ball going out wide, and that's why Yugoslavia are ahead, Nick. They're clearing up all the rubbish as well.
Yeah, I mean, even under a difficult set, which is Gribic puts it wide but tight, and then the outside hitter really in a situation where he didn't have a lot to work with. Boscan was simply forcing the ball off Gerasimov, and it's that sort of commitment not to waste quality possession that is a feature of the Yugoslav side at the moment.
Left-hander then, Alexander Gerasimov. And another error for Russia hands an automatic point over to the Yugoslavians, takes them to 10 points to 3 in this third set. Ivan Milkovic extended his number of attacking scores in this game. Doesn't extend his points tally there with that service error. And a sticky middle patch here, neither team able to find any sort of rhythm. Igor Chilupov, the Russian captain, with the serve. He puts his serve in finally. Midjic passes in, and this time it's Mitkov, the libero for Russia, that's come up with the play, but it's still live. And a good transition feed to Nick Gribic from Yugoslavia.
Yeah, I mean, both liberos involved in that rally, and both of them giving reasonable service to the setter. But on the second transition for the Yugoslavs, it was absolutely exquisite. It was almost like a perfect service reception. The ball in from Midjic was straight into Gribic's hands, and 3 hitting options. You're not going to stop them.
Cipollin then, the Russian coach, still working hard. He's brought more substitutes onto court. Yakovlev, their best hitter, is back on for them. And a great set, good disguise there from the young Russian.
Yeah, little flashes of genius from Arkhipov. Unfortunately, he's not got the players around him at the moment. You see, he shows, waits, takes the block with him, and one I guess would say you'd have to watch him for the future. At the moment, the Russian side are in a situation where they've been giving a real mauling by this Yugoslav side, and Milkovic there is at the head of the queue.
It's incredible, Nick, isn't it? So psychological, but when you're up, when things are working for you, you seem to be able to flow through every action of the game. Milkovic just showing us there.
Yeah, Kazakov again moving laterally, didn't even get his hands above the net, and although he does complete that first tempo option, he's not going to score that many points on side out, but he really does have to get his block a little bit more effective. Now, whether they're going to bring, that's a sensible ploy. They've got Alikvor on and they've got Kazakov off. Alikvor is far more mobile in terms of his lateral movement, and at the moment Russia simply aren't getting enough hands up into the way either of the reception or the transition work from Yugoslavia.
Arkhipov then with the serve. That's a better attempt from him. Gets the ball in court, but once again, good middle attack there from Jeric, and fed well by Nick Gribic.
At least Alikvor was in the frame. He went with the A-quick ball and got his hands on it, just wasn't able to contain it and put it away for the point.
Yugoslav setter Nick Gribic again with the serve into the net tape. Yugoslavia making a few errors there, but as you see, 13-7 up in this third set and 2 sets to love up. They have a huge cushion to work with. Milkovic in his shot, and his opposite number 14, Alexander Kozarev. Kozarev new onto court. Good serve from him down the line. Chance now possibly for the block to function. Well, they've kept it alive. An audacious reverse set there to Chulapov. Well buried by him.
Yeah, this is better. A little bit of spirit being shown by the Russians. They've made a number of tactical substitutions to change the balance of the side around, and it hopefully won't be the last throw of the dice, but they've clearly got to do something about this onslaught they're facing from the Yugoslavs.
That's right, best of 5 match. If Russia cannot put this set away, then Yugoslavia go through. Good defence there, good touch in the block from the Russians. Alikvor starting to work well. Good substitution by Cipollin. Cut back across this time, and just outside the court, and the point awarded to the Russians. Little bit of confusion there.
Everything seemed to stop there. You can see Gadget's reaction by saying, well, what happened, guys? The ball was live. It actually came back into court legally, but Milkovic just steps out of the way and lets it hit the ground.
Well, Milkovic could have got up and buried that ball because he had no blocker in front of him, but feeling maybe that it had gone out over the aerial. So the Yugoslavians now not only playing well, but reffing the game quite well themselves. Well, finally Gadget, we see a little bit of anger from him.
Yeah, they've never been in this situation, and now you can see Dilemesta's roaming around the court saying, well, we should be able to seal this game out, and Gadget probably would just remind the side that let's get back to a solid reception, let's get back to the quality of post-block defence we had, and we should be able to take this game out. But the Russians seem to have a better balanced side on court at the moment, and that's been done by making quite brutal, should we say, substitutions across key players.
Well, Gennady Cipollin, the Russian coach, the man who comes up with those decisions. And another good decision by the officials. This time Yugoslavia allowing the officials to make the decision, but it's a net touch by the Yugoslavian players.
Yeah, good run from the Russians. Let's hope they get back into this set, and Kozarev has got a good serve, and they are well aligned at the net.
Another good serve from Kozarev. He's working that line incredibly well. But the ball going to Vujovic, and you can kind of stake your money on that guy.
Yeah, Goran Vujovic is a stocky, powerful character. You can see the block did all it could, and in the hands of Alikvor, you've got better lateral stability in the block than you have when Kazakov is there. He does get his hands into that hitting space earlier, and is a more effective block than the taller player.
controlled serve from Vujovic. That gives a point chance there to Russia, and they don't pass it up this time. Chulapov murdering it across court.
Yeah, Captain Igor Chulapov, who replaced Ilya Savelyev from the year 2000 Sydney squad, has firmly put himself onto court as a captain in that passing hitter's role. And Tuchukin is also a bit of a casualty of the Sydney 2000. He's on the bench and is available to the Russians if they need him.
Full spread wide from Yugoslavia. Another point chance. This is looking much better for the Russians. Spread wide to Chulapov. Chulapov's really picking his side up again.
It's captain's role there. Captain's on the outside, and the Russians, they look a different side. They're playing with some energy, they're playing with some commitment, and even when you put three up against them, there is still the narrowest of diagonals available to them. And at the moment, Russia are beginning to get themselves back into this set.
Well, interesting decision there. Deciding to go away from the jump serve, floating it in, and that consequently gives Yugoslavia a good chance to pass the ball.
Yeah, Kurazhov trying to get up. He was in there. He was early, and he did have a chance of getting his hands on that a quick attack. But now it's the middle blocker Jeric on the line.
Yugoslavia now just leading by 2 points. This is a really good comeback by Russia. And as Nick Smith says, if they can get within touching distance of the Yugoslavians, it's going to be interesting to see how they respond. Yakovlev then with serve, number 10 for Russia. Delivered a couple of big jump serves in set 2, and boy do they need one now. Gone down the line again. That seems to be the Russian tactic at the moment, and it's producing some chances, but they're still unable to take them.
Yeah, they're doing all they can. The quality of the Yugoslav reception is holding up. They know that they've got the setter on the line, which is probably the favoured option for the hitter. He's not that tall, Arkhipov, at 191, and he is now in front court rotation 4, which means he's in the front line for the next 2 rotations when they side out, and they're at a crucial point in this stage, in this set. But well, let's see if the Russian block can improve.
Well, the Russians doing everything they can to set up point-scoring chances, but still nothing really happening for them at the net, and they're still letting those points slip by.
Yeah, I just wonder whether or not Kamuchkik will be given an outing here, because the Russian front court setter is making a difference to the height of the block. He may be pulled off with a middle blocker put on to replace him, and the back row opposite player may be replaced by the Russian setter Kamuchkik. But it would be a brave substitution given the situation in the set. But they do need a little bit more punching weight in the block.
Well, Arkhipov, the new young setter, and Chulapov, the Russian captain, between them, they've got this Russian side back in to this third set. Here he is then, the top scorer at the tournament so far, Ivan Milkovic. Serves on to Mitkov, the Russian libero. Yakovlev once again blocked, this time by Dalamesta.
Yeah, it was a good block, but the width on the set wasn't great. It was too far into court, and it was too much into the hands of the middle blocker, and Yakovlev could do nothing really with that, and it's Milkovic again dominating from the serve line.
Another point, another chance that Milkovic does not waste, and this time Chulapov cannot get past the 3-man block.
Yeah, it was relatively straightforward for the Yugoslavs. They knew they had no option apart from let's put up 3 players on the one hitting point, and it was good enough for the point.
You can see from that celebration on that slow motion replay that the Yugoslavians just a little bit worried that the Russians have got back in touch with this. Good blocking again from them. Oh, and a middle option from Arkhipov.
Yeah, good broken play option as well. That was, again, what one would suspect. You just have to say bravery in that situation. Mostly you would have gone to the outside, but he aerial delayed the release of the A ball, and it was good for Russia.
Maybe the advantage of having the young setter on then. Not too worried by these situations in this semi-final here at the European Championships in the Czech Republic. Oh, a big shot there, but Milkovic misses this time.
Yeah, that's a rare sight. Milkovic hitting the ball long, normal distribution pattern, big set, 6 to 8 meters across into court, but no, the ball was hit long. Russians have a chance again of re-establishing some control of this set behind the captain's jump serve.
It's the captain then, Chulapov. Russia 3 points down in set 3. Worked off the hands again, this time by Boscan.
Again, it's Arkhipov, the setter, who's the attentions of the Yugoslavs, and just not being able to get enough height or penetration on the block.
Waving his arms around, off comes Chulapov, on comes Tuchukin. Nick mentioning that he was a casualty from that 2000 squad, but he is available, he's back on court. So Gennady Chipolin, the coach, obviously feels that he has some value. Number 6 then, 26-year-old Slobodan Boscan serving for Yugoslavia. Quick pass in, Arkhipov goes wide, and that's put on the floor by Kozarev.
Yeah, textbook example of the role of the passing swing hitter. All fast and flat out to the receiver. Kozarev had already made the pass, and fine finish down the line.
You really saw him snap his wrist over the top of that ball to impart topspin and send it into court. Milkovic then, Milkovic blocked, finally the Russians have got hold of him.
Yeah, the ball was set a little bit low for him, but no dispute that the quality of the block from Kozarev was enough to intimidate him. Yeah, and in fact it was the hands of the middle blocker, Alikva, the substitute. Interestingly, now they've taken off Kazakov, who's beginning to get Russia back into this set.
Just 2 points the difference then. The ball touched in the block by Arkhipov. Yugoslavia make the play.
Yeah, put two players on the A-quick. You can see both Russian blockers in attention. You're only leaving the setter on the outside, and he's going to struggle. He's going to struggle to contain that.
Mester then with a jump float serve. Onto Mitkov. Mitkov with a wonderful pass for Russia.
Again, it was connecting with Alikva, the middle blocker who's been substituted for this giant of a man, Kazakov. And to be frank, he's more effective. His positioning in the air is very strong, and he moves when he's blocking far more effectively than Kazakov when the ball is low and fast against him.
Right, this could be telling then. Arkhipov is now off the front line, so he's not a blocker anymore, but he wastes their first point-scoring chance by serving straight in the net. He'll be now going to another two positions across the back court before he comes back to front court, so the Russians still in with a chance to make some points. They need a side out here though. Wonderful disguise once again from the young Russian setter.
Yeah, I mean, he is, well, I wouldn't say he was the finished product, but the fact that he was given the starting position for the Russians in the World League this year have some idea of the visions they have for this player. And with the year 2002 World Championships just ahead of us for Argentina, then this guy probably is being groomed for the starting position. And here we go. Now we have a row, we have a jump set point ace from the Russians, and could this get them back in the set?
Kozarev then coming up with the service, drilling that off of the passing hands of Yugoslavia. Even if the ball's touched, it's still considered to be an ace because it's difficult enough to get the ball down into court in volleyball. Kozarev though following it up and doing his good work, making that service error. 22 points to 20 then, Yugoslavia lead, and they lead 2-0 of course in this semi-final. 3 more points to get to the magic 25, and that will give them the game. Ball wide, very, very well worked from the Russian players.
Yeah, the impressive thing about the Yugoslav block is they never let a ball go. You see the middle blocker going up and taking the Jeric on the first attempt, but he almost got an effective block in on the outside hit as well. So he's jumping twice and he's covering 2 to 3 meters in a fraction of a second. And again, power on the transition from Milkovic.
Incredible save from Gribic. Opens the court up for Milkovic, and well, he went clearly a foot over the top of that Russian block. That was impressive.
Yeah, not even in the same sort of atmosphere. The height and contact point of the back row offence was quite startling. He's taking the ball up around 12 foot, you know, which is really quite awesome when you're looking at someone who can take the ball at 3 meters 65, 3 meters 66.
Way over the height of a basketball ring, of course, just to give you some idea how high these players are jumping and contacting the ball. Good contact through the middle for Russia. That gives Yakovlev the chance to serve, and Yakovlev comes up with the ace. He's levelled the match. Set 3 has gone to 23 points all, and that has forced Gajic, the Yugoslavian coach, into another timeout.
Yeah, this is better from the Russians. They've just got a sense in this set that they've got their serve together a little bit more, and crucially the block alignment is far more effective. Despite Kazakov's height, he is strangely when the offense is quick against him, he's not that effective. He doesn't get his hands on many. He certainly doesn't kill many. He doesn't slow many down. But in the hands of Alikva, then they look far better balanced. And now they've got possibly 2 to 3 rotations before the end of this set to see if they can sneak a set back against the Yugoslavs and put some pressure on them.
Well, the Russians have come back. It's the Yugoslavians with something to think about now. But you'd have to say under this rally scoring system that the Yugoslavians have to make a side out. If they can make a side out and kill the ball, that will take them to the first of their match points. Yeah. The Russians need to come up with another good serve and a good block to get their match point. Let's see how this goes. Number 10 then, Yakovlev, still with the serve. Remember, he came up with an ace on his last timeout. The timeout's been called, and that has possibly disturbed his thought process. We'll see how he delivers this serve. Still goes for force, but goes out over the baseline. And that is the set point, the match point, sorry, to the Yugoslavian team. Their first match point. And what they have to do now is to serve and set up a block. And the way they've been blocking, Nick, you wouldn't bet against them.
Well, I wouldn't exactly. The reception quality of the Russians here is going to be crucial. The interesting Kulipov has been brought back on for Tetyukin, so he'll be next to the service line, and he's got a good serve. And that's at least by netting it, it gives the option of him getting involved. The next two rotations for the Russian side are going to be crucial. Kulipov is on the line now. He has a very strong and effective jump serve, and it's a question of whether the Russian block can function in front of him.
The first match point then comes and goes for Yugoslavia. Igor Kulipov focuses himself, tosses the ball high. A soft jump serve, that's a good pass in, and the second ball option taken by Nick Gribic.
Yeah, first time we've seen that, front row setter, Gribic, the ball is high, he goes aerial as he always does, takes one hand away, just tips the ball over the middle blocker for the point, takes them to match point.
Great thinking there from Nick Gribic. The second match point to Yugoslavia, it's Boscan with the jump serve. The Russian receive under pressure, spreads the ball wide, what a kill through the outside from Kozyrev.
Absolutely crucial position. There was nothing in this. He had to complete it. He only had two players. He goes for the diagonal, and despite Vujovic's good positioning, simply unable to contain the weight of the ball. Now Russia need a point here. They need a point behind the Kulikov serve.
Well, it's a simple float serve, so the ball is in, but it's not a good set from Gribic, under pressure. Yugoslavia with another hit from Vujovic, and the ball just rolling around in the air. The Russian blockers unable to see it.
Oh, that was dreadful for the Russian. You've got three players up, and particularly in the hands of Alikva, you say open your eyes, search for the ball, and as you can see, the players looking for it despairingly as it crashes just behind the outside blocker. Oh, that was desperate.
It's Mester then. Another set point, another match point. And another save from the Russians. Yakovlev this time coming through on the reverse ball from the back line.
That was certainly quick, without a doubt. This Arkhipov does ask a bit of his hitters in terms of the tempo on the attack, but Roman on that occasion was good enough.
Well, the young setter from Russia running the show, trying to make the chase to the bench, but can't get his hand on that play. It's another match point for Yugoslavia.
Again, the Russians have to forget that one. Now they need to go back into reception, make sure they give the setter quality distribution, and see if we can penetrate the Yugoslav block.
So now we're looking for this two clear points to take the set. 27-26, match point to Yugoslavia. And Yugoslavia have it in transition, the chance for a kill. And Vujovic cannot put it away, but it goes outside to him again. And this time Vujovic is blocked.
Silenced by the Russian block. That's excellent work on the outside. And well, Kozyrev has been a bit of a revelation. Kozyrev's substitution and Alikva's substitution, along with this young setter Arkhipov, may just have given them the faintest chance of getting themselves back in this match.
Wonderful blocking two times in a row for Kozyrev. It's Kozyrev with the serve now. A wonderful serve. It's an overpass. Oh, the Russians have been called.
Oh, desperate stuff. Alikva just can't believe that. The ball was clearly coming into his court, and he gets his hands on the ball too soon.
Well, you don't want to criticise the refs, but I'm afraid I'm going to. That was a horrible decision, and Kulipov puts the ball away. That should have been a point to Russia, and Gennady Chipolin, the coach, knows it. Oh my goodness me, he is unhappy.
It's always a tough call in terms of when is the ball available to the hitter, but if the first official, who's perfectly, you have to say, is perfectly situated for that, he was in a position where he can see the ball as it crosses the plane of the net, and he gave it against Alikva, and I have to say, I don't think that was a good call.
Well, very tough for the officials up on the stand. The ball is flying about. These guys are functioning 2, 3, 4 feet above the net on occasions, and there's a heck of a lot to look out for. The ball, though, to Yugoslavia. It's match point. A service from Vujovic off the net. The cruelest of blows for the Russians. They fought so hard to get back into the game. They got the decision against them, but you can't take it away from that Yugoslavian squad. They go through to the 2001 European Championship finals with a demolition of the Russians in the first two sets, and then just a little bit of luck to take them through in the third. Wonderful shot from Vujovic, clipping the ball down onto the net. A Kulipov with a despairing dive, the Russian captain, and he can't make it. The team shake hands, but it's the Russians that go out. Yugoslavia win in 3 sets to love. 25-20, 25-17, 29 points to 27.